Okay, so my name is Julie, and for my research project, I studied same ability grouping during literacy instruction. So first I'm just going to start off with the definition of what is ability grouping, since maybe some of you don't have an idea of what it is. So there's two different types. There's same ability grouping and mixed ability grouping. So mixed ability grouping is a practice where students of different abilities are placed within the same instructional group. So for example, you can have group 1 where it's an A student, a B student, a C student, and a D student all in one group. Or another example of B, B, C, C. So they're all just different abilities all into one group. On the other hand, we have same ability, which is a practice where students of similar abilities are placed within the same instructional group. So for example, all A students into one group, or all C students into one group. So for my research project, I decided to focus specifically on same ability grouping. So why did I choose this topic? So in my first practicum last year, I was in a school that had a literacy initiative called the Joplin Plan. And what it is that it's all grade 1 students. In this one school, there were 4 classes of grade 1 students. And every day for 30 minutes during the literacy block, the students were placed in their ability groups. So one teacher was assigned the A students, another teacher B, C, and D. And the hope for this was that the students' level of reading and writing would be achieved since they're all in their ability groups. So throughout the year, they'd be monitored, they'd be assessed to see if their reading and writing and literacy skills are developing. Because of this placement in homogeneous groups. So I saw this and I was interested in seeing, is it going to work? How did the teachers feel? Is it harder for the teachers who are assigned the D students? Is it easier for the teachers assigned the A students? So I was just really interested in this whole idea of grouping our students based on their ability in order to achieve higher literacy skills. Then my second practicum, I saw a teacher who had a really strong guided reading program. And I saw a lot of congruency, similarities between the two, since guided reading, this teacher used same ability grouping as well. So each student would be put into a group and they would have one novel. They were all the same with reading levels, and they would just work together to read at that level. So, so seeing these two different approaches but same idea in mind, I kind of just got interested in seeing, what's the differences, how do teachers feel, who use same ability grouping, etc. Then my third practicum was in a junior class, so I thought, well, I wonder, these first 2 classes were both primary, so I thought maybe same ability grouping is only used in the primary grades when kids are learning how to read. But then when I was in a grade 4 classroom, and it was also a language learner because it was a French immersion class, I saw that the teacher was also using same ability grouping. So I thought, well, it's really prevalent. So my rationale was that it is being used in all levels. That it is a relevant topic in education, and teachers are using same ability grouping, especially in reading. So that's why I decided to look further into it. So I started by doing a review of the literature, and I think this is important for you guys as teachers to see what is out there, like what are the pros and cons, the benefits and limitations of both same ability and mixed ability. So some of the pros of same ability. So when you have all your students into one ability group, you're really able to tailor your instruction to each child's individual needs. So that's a really positive thing of same ability grouping. As well, the research shows that it really helps gifted learners. So all the students in that A group, they're able to be challenged more. And that's originally, if you go back into history, the ability grouping was started with brighter students. They were segregated and put into their own class and learned how to read, or how to, study in these groups. So that's another pro. Cons of same ability grouping is that the research shows that it does lower self-esteem, especially the students in the lower achieving groups. And also some people will say that it promotes segregation because students are all grouped separately. It might promote elitism, especially for the students in their higher achieving groups. And it does increase competition among students because when they're all at the same level, they might be getting really competing against each other, trying to be better, trying to compete. On the other hand, we have pros of mixed ability. So the research is very, very strong and clear about this, that when students are all mixed together into one group, the higher students will help the lower students, and that will benefit not only the lower students because they're getting that cooperative learning from their peers, but it also benefits the higher students. And the research is very clear that an A student, for example, helping a C student, by him teaching the C student that topic or concept, will increase that person's knowledge on the content as well. So by them teaching really helps them as well. So also the whole idea of positive role models for both, well, mostly the lower students who can see the higher achieving students and really get that motivation off of them. But a con is that it's really hard to teach a mixed ability group because you have a group of students and everyone's at different levels, so you really do have to differentiate your instruction. So my research questions. So I really just wanted to see how teachers feel. So my main question is, what are teachers' perspectives about same ability grouping during literacy instruction? So why do they choose same ability over mixed ability? What challenges are presented with the use of same ability groups? And lastly, how does it support student learning? So my data collection. So I interviewed 2 exemplary teachers like everybody else did, but I chose 2 grade 4 junior teachers since I already knew mostly that most primary teachers are using homogeneous or same ability groups. So I wanted to look more at the junior grades. So I chose 2 grade 4 teachers just for consistency, and they both use same ability groups. I also did lots of observations in the classroom, had discussions with teachers, and I taught guided reading lessons throughout my practicum so I could kind of get my own feel for it. So my findings. So my research had a lot of different themes, but I narrowed it down to 3 general findings that were similar to both interviews. So the first one, both people that I interviewed said that when they put their students in same ability groups, they notice a tremendous, their comprehension is greatly developed when students are put into same ability groups, and subsequently their reading development is achieved or increased. So that's the main reason why they put students in these same ability groups, because if the kids aren't comprehending the material, then it's no use putting them in a mixed group. But if they're all in the same group, mostly the kids will all be comprehending, so that's a huge advantage. They also say that same ability grouping fosters cooperative learning and discussion among peers, because when all the students are on the same playing field, they're all at the same level, they're really able to cooperate with themselves, discuss. There's a lot of reciprocal learning that's happening. So both participants felt they noticed this when students are in same ability groups. And lastly, and this is more of a negative outcome that was similar to both interviews, is that it's very challenging to have a same ability grouping program in your classroom because you have to do a lot of planning. So for example, you have to go to your leveled library and find the books that are appropriate for each group, as opposed to if they're all a mixed ability group, you can choose one novel and everyone reads it. So it's a lot easier in the sense to do mixed ability, but for same ability you have to do a lot of planning. And also both participants use support staff or parents to help with their program, their same ability programs, in the sense that one teacher did a novel study, so each group would have a parent to help with that novel, so just to facilitate, to monitor. So you do need to have a lot of support when you do same ability grouping, especially for larger projects like a novel study. So my conclusion. So my findings from my interviews were very similar to the literature, in the sense that both participants said that you are able to tailor your instruction to individual needs when the students are in these same ability or homogeneous groups. Reading achievement is improved. The literature was very strong about that, and my participants said the same. And another thing that was very interesting is that even though your students will be in same ability groups, let's say it's 4 B students, there still will be ranges in that group of 4 B students. So you will always have to differentiate your instruction, even though it is a homogeneous or same ability group. So that was another thing that was similar to the literature and in my interviews. But what I learned from this study is that same ability grouping is most relevant when reading is involved. So you don't want to put your students in same ability groups for every single subject. You don't want to do it for all your literacy time, but when reading is involved, it's really important. Well, this is what I found. It's really important and beneficial to put your students in same ability groups to ensure they're comprehending, and therefore the reading will be developed. So I also learned that you can use it, like guided reading is the most common practice that teachers use same ability grouping, but I learned from my study that you can also use it for any literacy or reading activity in literacy, such as novel studies, literature circles, which is similar to novel study but more discussion-based, literacy centers. You can put kids in their same ability groups and they go through different centers that are all reading involved, different reading activities, or even readers theater, where you give students a text and they're all at that same level, they all read it together and then they act it out. So it is very relevant in different areas of literacy. And that's it.